Welcome to Your Vote, the St. Joseph News Press Now's coverage of the upcoming municipal election. I'm local government reporter Quinn Ritzdorf, and we are continuing our Q&A series with the at-large candidates, and with us is Marty Novak. Marty, thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
We'll jump right in. First question, I-229, everyone's talking about it. It isn't the council's decision, of course, but you do get to provide some input going forward.
Right.
What do you want to be done with I-229?
Well, I've make no bones about my passion for I-229. I believe it should be kept. It's very important. It's important to our community. It's important to the commerce. We've got a lot of traffic that goes to the different ag businesses and so forth in town, and it's very, it makes it more navigationable. These farmers coming in, bringing their semi-trailers in, they're not used to driving those things, jockeying down 36 and around through town. That's what I-229 was built for. It was built for that purpose, and really to go and do away with it would be the wrong thing to do. I believe that there's been a lot of money spent for research from the MoDOT perspective. HD Consulting, $2.5 million for development. Not one of those keeps I-229 in its entirety. And I think it's very important. I think that's the wrong thing to do. I think it sends the wrong message to the people of St. Joseph. And, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If the people of St. Joseph in this area want to keep I-229, they're going to have to get loud about it. Otherwise, MoDOT's going to do away with it. So there's a lot of hoops to jump through. I'm also on the Metropolitan Planning Organization as well as the City Council. The Metropolitan Planning Organization has a lot more input as far as what goes on with I-229 than the City Council does. But keep it. That's my contention. Yeah.
Drug overdose deaths have more than doubled in the last 2 years. What steps would you take to, address the drug situation in town?
Well, I think, there's a lot being done currently. Obviously, it's a terrible epidemic, not only in our community, but in all communities. There's a lot that's being done as far as trying to get different clinics, taking care of people, getting them the help that they need. There is no real emergency detox centers or anything like that in St. Joseph. What we could do in order to get those, if we could partner with people in order to try and get some detox centers here that would help these folks, I think that would be a great thing. Of course, it takes money, it takes time, and I'm sorry that it's not anything we can flip a switch on and fix it, but I think it's something that we have to work towards.
The last count was 100 people, 100 plus people in St. Joe that are homeless. How would you address kind of the homeless population in town?
We've been addressing the homeless population since day one. There's organizations, private organizations, the Crossing, we had Cap St. Joe, we've got the Judah House, we've got the Haven House, and there's a lot of things that are trying to be done for these folks. Some of them work, some of them haven't, but it seems to be an ongoing problem. St. Joseph is not unique in having a homeless situation. We try to help these folks, get them the best help that they can. There's also Cap St. Joe is going to be using some funds and building a place where 15 of these folks can stay down close to the Haven House and the Judah House down there. So I think that's a good thing. These things are elemental, but you can't help somebody if they don't want to be helped. And that's the bottom line. You can't change a person's mindset, and I think that's something that we have to look at.
Blight in town, I feel like, there's vacant and blighted structures everywhere you look in St. Joseph.
Right.
What steps would you take to address that?
Well, I think there's been a lot of steps that's already been taken. The whole reason I got on council was because of Blight and a house across the alley from us that had been empty for over 20 years and was really falling down. And I think it's something that we've worked towards. We've done a lot in the past 4 years trying to address those. We've got rental inspections. We've got some things in place to try and, out-of-town remote ownership, to put some controls on that. Empty buildings, registrations, those things are in place. Working with the county where out-of-town buyers can't come in and buy these properties on the courthouse steps and then do nothing with them. We've also have some other projects that are in place. We're trying to the land bank, it's getting legs under that homestead program. So, I think that there's a lot of things that are in the works. There's more that can be done, but the problem is it's private ownership. People own these properties. We can't just go in and knock them down. There's steps that have to be taken. Sad to say, those steps take time, but something that's been high on my list, and I've been working very hard on the last 4 years.
Yeah. There's residents in town who point to, the school district as a reason for the decline in population. What would you do to enhance that relationship between the city and the school district?
I think it's very important for the school district and the city to work together. I was lucky enough to go to some of the candidate forums, and there was a few of the school board candidates that were there. Spoke very, very well. I think we're going to have some good folks coming in. But one of the things that was discussed, and I've talked with them personally about how the city and the school district can work together. I think those two boards, the city council and the school board, need to be able to communicate with each other and see where projects will be beneficial to both and work towards that. They're separate entities, of course, but there's no reason why they can't work together. After all, it's for the betterment of our community.
Violent crimes increased last year, and there have already been a number of murders and shootings this year. What steps would you take to address the crime and make sure residents feel safe in town?
Well, I think, first of all, we've got to get our police department up to staff. I think that's huge. There's, getting more cops on the street, more patrols, and get them out there. I think there's some elements of the crime statistics that have gone down, over the last 4 years. To pick out one segment, of course, the violent crime is one that's very important, and it's on top of people's awareness. And so we need to do what we can. I think the first step, like you say, is doing what we can to get our law enforcement up to staff and to also get these people where they need to be salary-wise so we can keep them.
You just mentioned the staffing shortage, but it isn't only the police department. It's landfill, streets department, health department.
Right.
What needs to be done or I guess what would you do to, get that staffing up to where it needs to be in all city departments?
Right. Well, it's not unique to St. Joseph. Companies across the United States are having problems keeping up to staff. It's very hard. There's for some reason people don't want to work. But I think we need to incentivize the people that are here, the good folks that are here, to keep them. We need to look at how we pay. We're going to be doing a salary study and to see where we're at, how we can compensate these people in order to keep the people. You want to keep the good people you have. That's what keeps things running. And I think there's ways we can do that. And we've kind of set the groundwork in order to get in and get this survey and get this review done to see how we can really quell this problem.
As a council member, how would you increase pride in St. Joseph residents?
Well, I think, obviously appearance. Appearance is huge. We need to work with the organizations that show what is in St. Joseph, the Visitors Bureau, the new people that come in. One of the things that when I was working, I had a lot of folks come in and from all over the place. And I took them around and showed them St. Joseph. We need to show them what the good things are in St. Joseph. These people were totally amazed. You know, I think we look at some of the historical stuff that we have here, the businesses. I think we've got a great you know, shopping environment here. We've got a lot of stuff going downtown. Take people, show them that. Remind the people of St. Joseph what's going on here. Sometimes when it's right under your nose, you don't see it. And I think a big thing is to keep reminding people and showing people what we have so they can appreciate that.
You guys are going to get, the city is going to get another installment of $19 million of American Rescue Plan Act funds. What would be the first thing you would want to spend that money on?
Well, I think I think a lot of focus has to be on municipal. You know, we know so much more now than that first round of money that came through. There were several iterations of the rules that went by, and we tried to do the right thing using a citizens committee like we do with the CIP to try and find fundings. And so now that there's clarity on those things, I believe that we can spend $10 million on municipal projects. And you know, that's what we need to go for and make sure we can get the biggest bang for our bucks. But we've got to take care of the city and the citizens first with that money. And then we can see if there's other projects within the community that you know, we can share that money with.
Just kind of my last question here. I mentioned, you know, the city's population. It declined by 5,000 in the last 10 years.
Right.
What would be your strategy to increase the city's population?
Well, I think, you know, obviously we're investing in industry, and $500 million, you know, has been invested in St. Joseph, you know, 400 or 500 new jobs. I think that's important. Keeping people here, you know, housing, showing people what we have. Obviously, we want to make sure that things like people feel safe with the crime and so forth. So if we can enhance our police department and obviously our firefighters, all of our first responders, you know, to make sure people are safe here. I think it's an ongoing project. Ultimately, you know, we've got to groom the young people to let them know that St. Joseph is here for them and that we can do things, and they should want to stay here because that's, you know, St. Joseph's my home. I've lived here all my life. I wouldn't want to live anyplace else. I've had opportunities, but I didn't go. And so, you know, we've got to show people what we have and groom the people that we have here and remind them, keep letting them know what a great place St. Joseph is to live in, and it can be even better. You know, we're all doing this in order to make St. Joseph a better place.
That's all I have. Is there anything else you wanted to say or add?
That okay?
Perfect.